I haven't bought a loaf of bread since 2020. Since then, I've been making all the bread my family eats. That means every other week, I make like 6 sourdough loaves, all different kinds, 100% whole wheat, country loaves, cheese loaves, raisin nut, pandemi. And over the years, I've tested a ton of equipment to the point where I've really honed my collection down to just a few key tools. Now, this is not my complete list of must-have gear. Drop me a comment if you want to know exactly what I recommend when it comes to which banneton to use, or bread knife, or loaf pan. And if enough of you want to see the full run-through of all my baking equipment, we'll make that video happen too. But today, I want to share with you my absolute top 6 tools that make my life as a sourdough baker a whole lot easier. And by the way, this video isn't sponsored by any brand or product featured here. All the items I'm recommending are on this short list because for me personally, they're sourdough game changers. Let's start with my newest piece of equipment, the Sassenhaus bread slicer. Does this make slicing bread faster? 1000%. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it still worth it? Yes. Here's why. As I mentioned, I make big batches of bread, so like 6 loaves at once. And what I do is I slice it all up and put most of it in the freezer, and then we take it out slice by slice over the following 2 weeks. As all of you probably know, slicing even one sourdough bread is a real workout for the arm. You tend to sort of smush down on the bread and you have to lift it up to cut that bottom crust. You have none of those issues with the Sassenhaus bread slicer. Now, there is one design flaw, and that's when you are cranking away, each slice as it comes out hits the handle, which is kind of annoying, but even with this flaw, I can do 3 loaves in the time it takes me to slice one with a bread knife. The one trick that I have figured out is that if you keep a lot of momentum on the unsliced portion of the bread, it will slice easier. So sometimes the slice might catch at the end if you're not propelling the loaf forward as you slice. So give it a good push through the blade as you're cranking with the other hand. Of course, in addition to the ease of slicing, you get very precise slices, which is awesome. And you can adjust that by just turning this knob. It lengthens out the guide, and you can get like some really nice beefy slices or some really thin slices. So, game changer, guys. Check it out. The next one is a thermometer. Hands down, the best way to improve your sourdough is to start keeping track of your dough temperature. Now that's different from the ambient temperature of your house. Your dough temperature is something entirely different. And once you start to track that, you have a lot more information about how long bulk fermentation will be. So the question that I get the most often from sourdough bakers is, look at my crumb, tell me, is it underproofed or overproofed? And if all they can tell me is how long they have bulk fermented it, I have limited information. If you tell me that in combination with the temperature of your dough through fermentation, I have a more precise window into what was going on with that bread. Now, I love this ThermoPen. It is blindingly fast. It will take the temperature of your dough, and it will also take liquid. So it is my go-to thermometer. Now, these are 2 pages from my 52-page ebook that students get in my course, How to Make Great Sourdough Bread. What it is a sample bread diary. What does that mean? I keep a bread diary, and I recommend that all my students do the same because it is the way to start to see patterns in your bread making. So what kinds of things are you recording? You're recording things like dough temperature, timing, of course, the amounts that you're using, your ingredients, when you're adding them, how long was your fermentales, how long was your bulk fermentation, what was the ambient temperature at the time, what was the dough temperature. So you don't have to guess which data to use or to log. I've got you covered. So this is everything that you want to record as you make your dough. So if you had great oven spring one week and poor oven spring the next, you can consult your bread diary and see those different variables to see what might have caused that change in your bread. So get these pages, they're free, in the description below. Okay, next one. My grain mill. This is a Como Fidibus Classic, and it has a stone that grinds just about any grain that you want to do. So it can grind all your ancient grains. I'm a big fan of kamut, or khorasan is another name for it. It can do rye, it can do oats, and you can set how fine or coarse you want the grain. Super easy to use. Grain goes in the hopper, plug it in, flip it on, have your bowl here to catch it. But my big tip is have a tea towel on hand to cloak it as it's grinding. So I find that it kind of clouds of grain come out, and you'll find that the area where around your grinder is kind of has a nice fine dust over it. So just clip, I take a little like chip clip and clip a little tea towel over the top, and it drapes over the bowl to sort of just like tamp down the dust. Otherwise, I love this, and it will take your sourdough game to another level when you can now kind of find the flavor combination that you really love. I know, a scale, duh. Of course you need a scale, but can your scale do this? Ooh. When you're working with large amounts of flour, like I do, this pullout is a godsend. Because with my old scale, I didn't have that. And I would work with big bowls of flour, and I was constantly trying to read the screen underneath the bowl. It was real pain. My old scale lasted me like 10 years. It was an OXO, so I went back to that same brand. But this one is the 11-pound capacity. Scoring is one of those things that many people find very frustrating. And I always tell students one of the easiest, safest ways to score is to invest in a LOM. These things are not expensive, and they really will make your life a whole lot easier. One like this has a nice handle and some distance from the blade, and it's really great for scoring at that precise angle that creates that flap. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to get my course. I go into detail about the perfect way to score your bread. There are other LOMs that are straight bladed, and that is for different designs. It's kind of a no-brainer. Maybe not as much of a no-brainer as my free bread diary pages. Go get them in the description. Let's break bread together. Bake bread together. Let's do that.